Hi, this is Carrie from By the Well Counseling. I wanted to talk with you today about why I made the decision to add telehealth services to my in person counseling practice. When I got started out in the field, I was actually doing in home therapy and I was going out to people's homes and working with children who had some pretty severe behavior problems and their families. And in that process, I learned some interesting things about doing in-home therapy. Um, People just seemed a lot more comfortable sitting on their own couch talking to you about things. They were a little bit more laid back and were able to just open up a little bit easier, I think, than had they been in an office setting. And then I got out of doing that work and I was in a group practice for a little bit before starting By the Well Counseling. And in the group practice and in at By the Well Counseling, I just noticed a lot of barriers to people receiving counseling services. So there's a lot sometimes that goes into just getting to the office. So if you're in Nashville on, one side of town, you may only have to drive a few miles, but it may take you 30 to 45 minutes due to traffic. And factoring that time in can be stressful. So if you fight traffic and then you have to actually get to the office environment. Unfortunately, when I was in the group practice, this was quite stressful at times. So we were located in a very large building, and you would pull up to this huge parking lot, try to find a parking space, and then there were two separate buildings. Sometimes people would go into the wrong building. So you had to find the correct building and then you would go in the front doors, but you'd have to actually go downstairs because it was one of those buildings where you came in on the second floor. And I remember one time in particular that someone came in for an initial session, and by the time they got back to my office, they were just so stressed just from the process of getting to the actual counseling session. And so since I work with a lot of people who have anxiety, sometimes just that process of them getting out and getting to the office, the drive there, some people have anxiety with driving that I see. And so just that whole process in itself can add another layer of stress when you already may be nervous about coming to counseling in the first place. So there were these various barriers based on time, people with dealing with work schedules and traffic, um, the anxiety, and then through this process, I got a different office at By the Well Counseling that's super easy to find now, which is nice. We're in a pretty quiet, laid back office complex, which is sweet. But I had, through this process, done some telehealth for myself for medical reasons. So the insurance that I was using, I was able to access telehealth services for medical appointments for free, which was super helpful to me. There was one time in particular that I was just throwing up like all night long, and it was absolutely awful. Don't know, if it was a stomach bug or something I ate, but I had called the phone number and talked with someone, told them all my symptoms, and next thing you know, they called in a prescription. And I thought, this is incredible. I can't even get to the doctor's office at this time, but I can access someone via telehealth, which is just an amazing thing. And in 2019, I was working in Donaldson, and I just decided that I didn't want to drive to Nashville area every day because I lived further south in Rutherford County. And I thought, well, let me try to see if I can move this practice closer to my house. And that's what I did. In June of 2019, we had been in business for 2 years, and I moved the practice closer to home. So now it's a much easier commute to me for the office. And in that process, though, I didn't want to lose clients, and I wanted people to be able to have options if they didn't want to drive. And so I decided to get some training on telehealth and look at platforms and get ideas from other people who were already utilizing telehealth. And so I started using this more with clients. Some of my clients would drive from Nashville to see me, and some of them said, you know what, let me just try the telehealth and see how it goes. Meanwhile, I had noticed that other clients were wanting to schedule telehealth sessions for other reasons, and it was just easier for them. They wouldn't have to miss as much work in order to take time off to come into counseling. They could do this before they went into the office or on a lunch break. And I still have people that do that, which is pretty neat. And so the more that I started utilizing telehealth services from the therapist side, I noticed how much clients were enjoying it as well. And they were just as comfortable as the clients I used to see in home therapy. They were in their own environment. They were a little bit more relaxed. It was a little bit more easier for them to open up and talk about things. And since that point, I've really only gotten positive feedback from my telehealth sessions. I've never had someone try a telehealth session and say, I'm never doing that again. That just hasn't happened. Most of the time, people say, I feel the same way as if I was right with you in the office. And there's many different things that we do in therapy that are easily adaptable for telehealth because a lot of it is communication, right? And so um, I hope that helps people understand maybe a little bit about how I got on this journey and why, and how it's been helpful to my clients. And if you're interested in trying telehealth and you're in the for counseling and you're in the state of Tennessee, you can check me out on bythewellcounseling.com. Thank you.